What's up guys, my name is Shawnee O and today I'm going to be teaching you everything I know about Zulrah. A little over a year ago I made a mage only guide to defeating Zulrah and I received heaps of great feedback and a lot of people their first kill, which I'm thrilled about. But today we're going to look at going beyond that and learning how to properly hybrid Zulrah. I will put timestamps for each of these, but today's guide will cover the 4 different forms of Zulrah, the 4 different rotations that it will move through, how to gear and set up for Zulrah. I'll also talk you through some useful RuneLite plugins and features. We'll have a look at the map overview with some marked tiles. I'll give you some tips and tricks for movement, healing and your switches. I'll also do a full kill with commentary for each of the different Zulrah rotations. The Serpentine form of Zulrah is the green phase and it will only attack with range. For this phase we'll be attacking with magic and using protect from range. The Magma phase is the red form of Zulrah and it will only attack with melee. For this phase we'll be attacking with magic and using Safespots and movement to avoid its melee attack. The Tanzanite phase is the blue form of Zulrah. It mostly attacks with magic but will occasionally range you. For this form we'll be using range and protecting from magic. The final form is the Jad phase, which looks exactly like a green phase. For this phase we'll be attacking with magic and alternating our prayer every attack. As a summary of the different forms of Zulrah, you can refer to this graphic, which shows you which attack style to be using for each phase, as well as what prayer you will need for each. Okay, so now let's have a look at our setup for Zulrah. You will need either a Serpentine helmet or an anti-venom, preferably an anti-venom plus. You'll also need a Ring of Suffering charge with recoil charges or a Ring of Recoil. Other than that, I've got my best in slot mage and range gear. I'm also taking a Zalendra teleport, an imbued heart and bastion potions. You can sub these out for a battle mage and range potion if necessary. I've also got some prayer potions in my inventory, a ring of dueling for healing, and also some anglerfish and Karam Rams for combo food. Now let's have a look at some of the RuneLite features that may help you doing Zulrah. The first one we're going to have a look at is the Zulrah helper. So if we have a look at this, we can tick these options here. I'm just going to take this off for now. What this plugin does is give you the different rotations of Zulrah built into the client. So obviously Zulrah will always start in this position, and depending on what rotation you get, you can click here and it will show you the coming pattern. So that's really useful for having your rotations close to your client so you can look at these side by side. Something else this does for you with the Jad phases, it has obviously blue and then green. This means for this Jad phase it will be mage first and then range, and the other Jad phases are also noted as well. So this one here is mage first and then range. This one here is brain first and then mage. This is really useful and will line up with the map that I will show you. Something else that's really useful, you'll see in my inventory I have inventory tags on which color my switches. So to turn these on we can search for inventory tags. Then we have a list of preset colors here that we can tag our inventory with. To do this we just right click on our inventory and configure inventory tags. From there we can then mark different items in different colors for our switches. Something else that is really useful in all PVM, but especially Zulrah, is key remapping. So the first thing we'll do is go to key remapping in RuneLite. We basically just want to remap our F key, so F1 is 1, F2 is 2. What we also need to do in the RuneScape settings is go into all settings, then into controls. What we want to do is have our key binds on here. So what the key binds will do is bind one of our interfaces to an F key, and our key remapping will put that to a number key. So copy my setup there or pick your preferred setup. But what this basically lets you do is right now I'm jumping through my interfaces using the numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4 and not having to click. This is much faster than clicking the bag, clicking your switch, clicking the prayer, clicking your prayer. Much easier to bounce in between like this and your mouse can stay where it needs to be. So that's something else that's really useful as well. Here is the location where you'll be taking on Zulrah. The first thing to note is it's much easier to have your camera pointing south, as this will align your screen up with all of the different rotation helpers. Now let's have a look at the Zulrah helper plugin. What this shows is which form of Zulrah will appear and where you need to be standing. So there is a green, red and blue dot that depicts each of the forms of Zulrah. There's also a white cross which shows you where you need to be standing. On my map, the blue tiles correlate with the different white crosses. So position 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 line up with the different positions on the Zulrah helper plugin. So use these to navigate your way around the map. You'll also notice that I have some red tiles. This is for avoiding the melee attacks. So as Zulrah targets you, you need to be walking between tiles 1 and the red tile, and tile 5 and the red tile. The very last set of tiles I've got are green tiles, and these are pillar safe spots. So depending on where Zulrah is, you can use these different tiles to avoid all damage from Zulrah. I will put these tiles into a text file so you can import these into your own client. So now I'm going to show you how to use the Zulrah Helping plugin. So we'll teleport now. Once you arrive at Zelandra, your Zulrah Helper plugin should come on. Firstly, what we do before we start our trip is our pre-pot, so we'll do that now. Turn on Preserve to hold that boost. We then take the boat to Zulrah. Once we arrive, the fight won't begin until we make a move, so we're free to get ourselves set up and comfortable. Just be aware that once you do make a move, if you move your character, turn on a prayer or eat food, any of those actions will begin the fight. So what we're going to do, as with all Zulrah fights, we're going to be going to position number 1 first. That lines up with our Zulrah helper here, is that position there. So what we're going to do, we're going to run to position 1, turn on our augury prayer and begin to attack the boss. Always turn your camera to be south facing so that this map you can see here lines up perfectly with the rotation map here. So what we're looking for now is this first change. First thing we always need to do is our protection prayer. So we've got the blue phase, so we'll put on protect from mage into our range gear and begin to attack the boss. What we do now is click the blue here because this is the rotation we've got. What this will do now is tell us the coming rotations and where we need to be standing. Using this map, the next place we need to go is to position number 4. So we'll go there now, prayers first, into our mage gear and attack the boss. Now we are standing here. For the next phase we don't need to move, but we will have the blue phase. So protection prayers first, change our gear, begin to attack the boss. So you can see these locations are mapped out 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and they should coincide with the different X's that appear on the map. The next move we're going to make is over to number 2, and it's against the melee phase. So we don't need a prayer for that, and into our mage gear. We are safe from the melee phase in positions 2 or 4. So looking at our map now, we're here. The next phase we've got is a green, so we don't need to move, but we will need to protect from range. So that's just as an overview how to use the rotation map. Once you are finished with a rotation, you can reset here to begin your new kill, and that will reset the map and you can click whichever pattern you get. So this is a really useful tool for having the different rotations of Zulrah laid out next to your client. Okay, what I'd like to do on this kill, now that we've had a look at the Zulrah helper plugin and how it works, is show you some of the green tiles that I've highlighted as safe spots and how we'll utilize these. These are really useful when you're learning. If you ever get in an uncomfortable situation and you're completely lost and need some time to reset, these green tiles can be useful in letting you have some time to compose. Also, if you're struggling on taking damage in the blue phase, you can stall Zulrah by using one of those safe spots and come out to attack when it's safe. So we'll quickly pre-pot now and put on our preserve and take the boat to Zulrah. As with all rotations, we'll go to number 1 to start. With these safe spots, they are marked in green, and when we turn the map south, I've tried to put arrows on those as to where they will help you. So we'll begin to attack Zulrah now. So these two marked here will help you for a Zulrah that is to the south. This one here will help you for a Zulrah to the west. That will help to east, and this one here will help center. So we've got a green phase here, so we can't utilize a safe spot just yet, but we'll run through the rotation and I'll show you how to use a few of these. As with all melee phases, number 2 and number 4 are safe. So if you ever have a melee phase, you can stand at any of these spots and you won't be autoed by the tail, so you're free to attack and deal DPS. When we run through the examples of the other kills, you will need to use the red tiles as marked to walk out of the way of the tail. This is our first example where we can use a safe spot. We have a blue spawn to the west, and by using this tile here, we can completely avoid all damage on this phase. We've now got a green to the south, and we can use this tile to avoid damage on this phase. We now have a blue to the west. We'll survive. And we can now use this tile. So hopefully those arrows and these different tiles will give you different examples of when we can use the safe spots to avoid certain phases. It is really useful for if you're ever completely uncomposed and don't know where you are. You can use these as a bit of a guide as to where to stand. Also on the blue phase, as I'll show you shortly, it's a good way to not take any damage and then come out when it's free to attack. So I'm just going to jump off Zulrah now. So we have a center spawn now. So when it spawns center, this spot here is safe. So you see Zulrah is still targeting us at the moment. Once it comes off aggro, now we can come out and deal DPS for free. So if you're ever in a position where you're dealing the blue phase, you can utilize one of the safe spots to not take any damage and then come out when it's free to attack. So hopefully that's a decent guide on how to use the different safe spots. Now that we've had a look at how to use a Zulrah helping plug in with our rotations, I'll now run you through some tips and tricks on how to navigate your interfaces. So this will help you with healing, gear switching, etc. So as always, we'll quickly pre-pot before we begin. And we'll run to tile number 1 to start the fight with Zulrah. Now hopefully these tips and tricks help you navigate your fight with Zulrah. And we'll see what rotation we get here, and I'll talk you through my thought pattern and the order I'm going to move in. First thing here is always prayer. So we've got a blue phase here. So prayer first into our gear and begin to attack the boss. We'll then use our Zulrah helper here. What this is telling us is the next phase is a green phase and we need to be in position number 4. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move there first. I'm a little bit low on food and prayer, so anglerfish prayer potion into prayer switching and then gear switching. So that order again was movement, food or prayer, prayer switching, and then gear switching. What we've got next here is a blue, so we'll do our prayers first into gear and attack the boss. When you're healing, you can always anglerfish and prayer potion or anglerfish and currant balm in one tick. So here for example I need to combo eat, so anglerfish currant balm, I can eat them in a single tick. The same works with prayer potions. If you ever need to eat and prayer, you can anglerfish into a prayer potion. So we're here now over here for the melee phase. So we are safe in position number 2 here. So hopefully that little bit of an overview was useful. So again, anglerfish prayer potion will heal both of those and we'll begin to attack the boss. No movement needed here for a few phases. I'm a little bit low on health, so I might eat there. Still praying range. So what we've got next is a blue phase over here in position 4. So right clicking here is really useful because the snakeling sometimes can path you. So we need to run this now over to position 4 and we'll kill the boss. I'd just like to show you one more example of navigating your interfaces for your gear switches and prayer changes, etc. So we'll run through this again now and I'll talk you through it. This just comes with practice, so don't be disheartened if you don't get it straight away. Just keep practicing, and before you know it, it will become more natural. So position 1 as we always start, and we'll see what rotation we get. Just remember the order: movement, heal, prayer, gear. So firstly we've got a blue phase again, so we're going to change our prayers and then into our gear switch. We're then going to use our Zulrah helper, which will tell us the rotation. So we're going to position number 4 against a green phase. So we can right click now to number 4. As Zulrah dips down, I'm going to eat and heal my prayer because they're both a little bit low. Zulrah's down, eat, prayer potion, prayer switch, gear switch, and attack the boss. I ran through that nice and slowly, so hopefully you can see exactly what I've done there. What we have next is a blue phase, so we'll change our prayer, change our gear, and attack the boss. Always just keep aware on your health and prayer to see which one you need at the end of each rotation. If you're very low on health, you can combo an anglerfish and a current worm. If you're lower on prayer, you can combo an angler and a prayer potion. So we'll move over now. I'll combo one there into our mage gear and attack the boss. So we're here right now. The next 2 rotations we are in the same spot against the range phase. So example combo eating, we'll do angler prayer. You'll see both of those go in one tick. So always just keep an eye on your health and prayer and see which one you need. And just remember that order: movement, healing, prayer switches, gear switching. So hopefully that helps out, guys, and now we're going to run through some more Zulrah. Now we'll have a look at each of the individual Zulrah rotations, and I'll run you through a kill clip of each. So there are 4 possible rotations you can receive, and I'll do a kill with commentary for each of these. The fight will always start the same way, in our mage gear and running to position number 1. I generally sit on my prayer screen here because the first move I'm going to make is to put on the appropriate protection prayer. So we'll see what rotation we receive now. We have the green Zulrah, so we will use our Zulrah helper to select the appropriate phase. So we're in the same location, protecting from range. Our next move is going to be all the way over to number 5, so we can go now. So number 5 will be a melee phase, so we will need to walk to dodge the tail at the later phase. So we make our way over to position number 5. When Zulrah faces us and targets us now, that's when it's going to melee us. All we need to do is move, and it will target where we were. It's going to us again, number 5, and we're good. The next phase is a range phase, so we'll quickly change our prayers into our range gear. So we're up to here. Now, our next move is going to be position number 2. So we'll run there now, protect from range into our mage gear, position number 2. I'm going to stop DPSing now so you can see the full rotation. The next phase we don't need to move, but it will be into our range gear with protect from magic. So we'll do that now. Our next move is back to position number 4. So we'll go here after the last attack. Number 4. You actually don't need to pray range from this, but you will learn these eventually. So we're here now. Don't need to move, it's back-to-back green phases. You do need to pray range on the second. So Zulrah comes up now. We're now here. Our next move is going to be to number 2. However, what you can do is use this safe spot here to gear yourself. So from this spot here, we are safe, so you can get yourself into your range gear, and you can come out and attack once Zulrah has offed. So once it's looked away from you, you are free to DPS here. The next phase is a Jad phase, and it's magic first. So what I suggest doing is getting into your gear really early. So into our mage gear, and it will be mage first and range. Every time Zulrah dips its head, you're changing your prayer. So the range attack's coming in, mage attacks coming in, range. Just alternate your prayer every time Zulrah dips down the head. The very last phase of this rotation, we're going back to position number 1 against the mage phase. So back to number 1, and we'll see if we can finish this off here. So we're here. This is the last phase of the rotation. So after this, Zulrah will go back to the green phase at the start, and we've killed it just on time. So returning to Zulrah now, we always start the fight in the same way, and we sit here on our prayer screen to see which rotation we do receive. We've got a red phase, so we can get one attack in. It's targeting us, so we're going to move to the red square here. It's 2 moves again and back to 1. So we walk between these tiles as Zulrah targets us. With the red phase, it's always a blue in the center next, so we're going to protect from mage and into our range gear. There are 2 variations of this, but they're always the same spot. So always to number 4 and into your mage gear with protect from range. We've got Zulrah to the south, so we'll click on that and see this rotation. So for the next 3 rotations, we don't need to move, but we will need to change gear in between here. You can turn off protect from range now once Zulrah starts spinning the snakelings. Next, we're going to have a melee phase in the middle. We don't need to move from position number 4. So we're up to here now. Next is a blue phase, so we're going to protect from magic and into our range gear as Zulrah dips down. The next phase is position number 2, which is a green phase. So as we run over, we're going to change into our mage gear with protect from range. Just going to stop DPSing here so we can see the full phase. So from here, it is the same location, but it will be a blue phase next. So as Zulrah dips down, we can put on protect from mage and into our range gear. You do need to long range initially if you're going over the poison. Once the venom cloud disappears, you can step forward. So for this phase here, we'll run partway during this phase to get away from the venom clouds. That's just something you learn from practice. Now we'll get ready nice and early for the Jad phase. So this Jad phase is green first, so it'll be protect from range. Every time Zulrah dips down its head, we'll be changing our prayers. So mage, then range, mage, then range. So we've killed it slightly early. The only part of the kill that we missed there is running back to position number 1 for a melee phase before we reset. Returning to Zulrah now, we'll quickly pot and begin the fight with Zulrah. If you can remember, try and reset your Zulrah helper in between the kills so it's back to the default setting. Get ourselves set up with the map facing south, and let's wait and see what rotation we receive. So we've got a red phase for the middle, so we will need to dodge. So as it looks at you, move to the red tile. If you're quick, you can get 2 attacks in with the trident, and then back to number 1. After this, it will be a blue phase in position number 1. So change to your range gear with protect from magic. No matter which rotation we get, we'll always be going to position number 4 into our mage gear. So into our mage gear, position 4, and we receive the Zulrah to the west here, so we'll click on that one now. So the next 3 rotations, we are in the same location, but we will need to change to our mage gear, range gear, next. So protect from mage, into range gear, and attack Zulrah. During this phase, we will need to step back to avoid some venom clouds, and I'll tell you when. After it fires 2 snakelings, you can step back onto number 4 and long range for a few extra hits. Again, that's just something you learn by experience and knowing the rotations. So next, we have a melee phase in the middle. Because we're in position number 4, we are safe from the melee tail, so you're free to DPS from here. Next phase, position number 3, and it is a range phase, so in your mage gear, still protecting from range. So we're here. Our next move is back to 4 into our range gear with protect from mage. Put your blowpipe back on rapid if you did change it for the venom clouds before. So next we have a Jad phase with range first. So again, if you're learning, I suggest you leave that phase nice and early. Give yourself plenty of time to prepare. So into your gear nice and early with the correct prayer. So now we're Jadding with the range first. So every time Zulrah dips down its head, you're changing your prayer. So as the mage attack's coming in, you pray range. As the range attack's coming in, you pray mage. If you aren't going to kill this Jad phase, you will need to move to position number 1 for the last melee. So you would be going back here. I killed that just on time. So when it finishes Jadding and starts spraying venom clouds, that's the time to move back to position number 1. After that last melee phase, that will be the end of the phase and it will reset. So we'll return to Zulrah now. Quickly pot before our fight. Always try to remember to keep this offhand spot available if you can in between kills. So when you're picking up loot, just make sure you are clearing that spot so your mage offhand has somewhere to go. As always, starting the fight from position number 1 in our mage gear, hovering over our prayer screen, waiting to see which rotation we receive. We've got the blue Zulrah, so we're quickly going to put on Protect from Magic and change into our range gear. We'll select the correct rotation on our Zulrah helper so we know where to go next. Our next move will be to tile number 4 against the green phase. So we'll run here as soon as Zulrah dips down. Quickly combo, protect from range and into our mage gear. And we'll attack the green phase from position number 4. After this, we won't need to move, so same location, but it will be against the blue phase. So protect from magic and into your range gear. We'll kill that now. After this, we do need to move to position number 2. So get ready for that. Right clicking is always useful in case there is a snakeling or another obstacle in your way. So when Zulrah dips down, we'll walk to position number 2 and into our mage gear. Don't need protect from range. As always, position number 2 and position number 4 are safe from the melee, so we're free to deal DPS here. The next 2 phases are 2 green phases. We don't need to move from those. I am going to stop doing damage so we can see the full rotation. So next phase is here. Don't need to move. We can stay here with protect from range. During this phase, you do need to move to position number 4. This is just something you learn from experience. So Zulrah will spray some acid where you are standing. So move over now to position number 4. And what's coming next is a blue phase. So protect from magic and into our range gear. Again, I'm not going to deal damage so we can see the full rotation. After this, we are going back to number 2. So lots of movement in this one against the green phase. So right clicking as there's snakelings where we need to move. Right click and we'll walk here as soon as Zulrah dips down. Protect from range into our mage gear. We'll deal some damage here. So we don't need to move after this kill. Protect from magic into range gear. So with this phase, there is the Jad phase next. So as always, give yourself plenty of time to prepare. So protect from magic's coming first because the blue's first. Protect from magic, get into your gear nice and early. So magic first, every time Zulrah dips its head, we'll change prayers. It's a little bit late there. And we've killed it a little bit early. So the next move would have been just back to position number 1 against a blue phase. That would mean protect from magic and into your range gear. So that's the end of my Zulrah guide. I appreciate that was a very long video, but hopefully it did help you. If you guys are still struggling, please feel free to jump in the Discord and I'll help you out where I can. Again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you did get some help out of this, and good luck killing the big snake.